Oh, I have a lot of questions about my old relationship. How did you get into social media? But I was bullied so much about it in high school. My friends going, everyone else could tell that that person was not a nice person. How they love this certain influencer when she's a really mean person. And it's just trashy. Hello, it has been a long time since I've sat down and properly talk to the camera. The last time I did a Q&A was 2022 or even 2021. I actually cannot remember, but it's been a long time, and since then we've had so much emotional growth, physical, not so much growth, I'm still the same height, but physically changing, situationally, a lot has changed. I'm single now, but last year I posted a lot of travel videos and some of them did quite well, which was really exciting. So I welcomed so many new people here. So welcome. I thought it would be rude not to kind of reintroduce myself, sit down and have a chat. A lot of people have been requesting day in the life kind of videos and I'm working on that. I definitely am, and I'm going to be vlogging more in 2025. Oh my god, 2025. This kind of video is one of my favorite kind of videos. I love just sitting down and talking. I'd originally planned to film this video with my hair done, my makeup done, but I feel like that is not me, like the everyday version of myself, and I think the purpose of a Q&A is to kind of introduce yourself and talk and share who you are as a person. So we're doing makeup free today. I have some lip oil on and a little bit of lip liner. Can't go without that, but everything else makeup free. This is like day 4 curly hair, so it's definitely not at its best. So grab yourself a tea, a coffee, or a nice drink because it's summer here in Australia. Mine here is takeaway. It's lemon, ginger and honey because I'm just feeling a bit bleh at the moment, and it goes with my shirt, which I didn't even realize. I want to disclaim that I'm not a therapist and this is just advice from a 22-year-old girl, so take it with a grain of salt. Okay, let's get into some questions. First of all, how did you get into social media? And has it been something you've always been interested in? I got into social media in 2021, so I graduated school in 2020. And during that time, obviously, we had the pandemic, so COVID happened, all of my plans of traveling for a year, and my work, like for example, I was working in a bar called Commune at the time. I think I was like 16 or 17 when I started working there. In Queensland, you're allowed to work in a bar from age 16, so that was my job at the time. Couldn't work there because obviously bars were closed, you couldn't see anyone. And I was doing wedding videography and photography, but COVID just threw this massive spanner in the works. But because I've always done photography and videography, I've always been an incredibly creative person with photography and videography. I used to do a lot of art, so when weddings were out of the picture, I needed to make money somehow, and I was working a photography and videography job for a hair salon, but I just wasn't happy. So I started posting on social media. At the time, I think it was a really popular thing to do. Everyone was learning how to be an influencer, everyone wanted to be an influencer, and I feel like there was this massive wave of people getting into content creation and influencing. And while I was still quite small, I started receiving gifting and working with some brands, and then the following year I got signed with Max Connectors, and I've been doing social media full-time since. But I love my job. It is actually my dream job. My mum actually asked me the other day, what would you do if money wasn't the issue? And I said, my job. I love it. I have so much flexibility. I'm so incredibly privileged in that sense. So much flexibility. I get paid for taking photos of myself and traveling the world, and I'm super lucky to be able to do that as my full-time income. And the follow-up of that question was, has it always been something you've always been interested in? When I first started posting on social media, I actually had people coming up to me that I went to primary school with saying, I would not have expected you to be an influencer. I've always been a super shy person. I'm a little bit more introverted, and I used to hate getting my photo taken, which is funny because I'll go back to photos when I was 6 or 7 or 8 and I loved the camera, but I remember recording myself when I was younger because I wanted to be a famous singer on The Voice, and although singing is definitely not my strong point, I think I always wanted to do something a little bit more unconventional and be my own boss. And I think you can see that with my photography and videography because I was self-employed. I've never really had an employer besides working at a bar. I remember being, I think, year 8 or 9, and I would vlog. This would be like 8 years ago, and I would vlog on YouTube, and they got a few views, but I was bullied so much about it in high school and I stopped because you just want to fit in when you're in school, and I was standing out a lot and I didn't want to be standing out. So I probably could have been the next Emma Chamberlain. The next question is, how are you so confident in regards to promoting your YouTube channel on Instagram? I think it's called exposure therapy. It's so funny because I think being single, I'm actually more scared about promoting my social media than I was when I was in a relationship, because I'm scared that guys are gonna judge me, which is so bad. I'm just being honest here. I just feel like people are gonna make fun of me, and it's probably some kind of trauma speaking out. But in regards to promoting it for the girls, I just know that if someone's gonna be following me and they're gonna be making fun of me, which I've definitely experienced, I know that they're not my kind of people. And people who make fun of you are just people that are jealous, and unfortunately that is what it is most of the time, especially if you live in Australia. Australia has tall poppy syndrome, and I experienced this very heavily last year and a few previous years. People just don't want to see you grow, and they want to cut you from the base and make you shorter. I'm already quite short. They want to cut you down out of their own insecurities. So I think it's about just posting it. If someone's gonna make fun of you, they're gonna make fun of you. You cannot control how other people feel and how other people are going to respond to you putting yourself out there, but you can control who you listen to. It took me so long to feel confident about not just promoting my YouTube, but promoting all of my social media, my TikTok. But you stopping yourself from putting yourself out there, maybe you stopping yourself from living your dream life. And what is the worst thing that is going to happen? I posted in the YouTube comment section, which I'm just starting to use, asking anyone if they had any questions, and I got some really nice messages. Someone said, "Hi Sienna, love you as a person, your eyes are the purest." That's so nice. Just wanted to know, what are your aspirations and how do you deal with things not going your way? You seem like a very mature person. Thank you. It's my trauma. But my aspirations, that is a good question. I have a lot of aspirations and a lot of goals. I think one of them is definitely to move overseas. I actually think I wrote a list down recently of things I want to do in the next 5 years, and I only just started this. I want to do a drawing and painting class and get back into art. I want to move to Paris for at least 6 months and do an art class for a month in Europe, somewhere in Italy, like Firenze. And I really want to learn how to speak a language fluently. I can speak Italian and a little bit of French, very poorly. I think my other aspirations career-wise is definitely to grow on here. I love YouTube. I don't stop talking about how much I love YouTube. It is my favorite platform in the world. I love how you can connect with someone so much deeper and you just get to share your personality, whereas with TikTok and Instagram, I feel like you have to really refine it. I would love to grow on Instagram as well. Overall, I just want growth. I would love to grow a community, but also really nourish my connection with my community right now. I would rather have 200 followers that are so incredibly dedicated than hundreds of thousands. So that is definitely my focus for the next couple of years. I would love to be invited to a European fashion show. That would be so cool. And I would also like to start a brand. And I know that I sound like every other influencer. I've been working on something for a while now. And when I say working on it, it's so incredibly in the beginning stages. But I think it ties in with who I am, my love for journaling, my love for art, and trying to make things more accessible for people. So I'm trying to work on that. That is definitely a massive aspiration. And then eventually maybe go to uni. My life is so very much up in the air right now, but I think my main focus is definitely travel and traveling as much as possible, working in the luxury market, working in the travel market, being able to vlog and share my life. And then eventually, once I'm done traveling as frequently, coming home to Australia and buying a house. I've been saving for a house since I've been 16, and that's definitely a massive goal for me. On the topic of journaling, someone asked, what are your journaling practices like? Is there a monthly cycle or a routine or something else? For me with journaling, I am still very new. I think I've been doing it for 2 or 3 years. And I definitely wouldn't say I'm the best journaler in the world, but every single night I have a little journal and I write what I'm grateful for and just like a little brief outline of the day. And then I used to, at the start of the year, I was journaling weekly recaps and doing that, but I think I was so focused on living in the past, and especially with my monthly videos, I live so much in the past, and I really wanted to take myself out from that because at the time I was going back with my ex so often and I was reliving all this trauma, and I just don't think it was very healthy for me. So now I make sure that I have a lot more freedom with journaling and following how I'm feeling at the moment. I make sure without a doubt each month I do a monthly reflection, so reflection of the month and then goals for the next month, and I can share what I do here. and you're welcome to DM me. I can send that through so you can keep that. But then sometimes like I'm feeling sad one day, I'm writing it down, and I try and make time to sit out in the sun, especially because summer's here, sit out and write myself. I love my alone time, and I think I just kind of go off what's happening recently, how I'm feeling, because I view my journals not only as letting it out and expressing how I'm feeling, but also as a keepsake of what I'm like at the time, because I love going through them and seeing my growth and how much I've changed. And I think it's a really beautiful keepsake that you can have to look back on one day, especially as a parent one day, looking back and going, oh, I thought like that too. Okay, let's get into the Instagram questions. Oh, I have a lot of questions about my old relationship. I'm gonna get them out of the way. First of all, why did your relationship with your boyfriend end? And how did you let go of someone you loved so deeply? I feel like these are very connected. The same person also asked, what is love to you? Is it time? No, it is not. While I do have an urge, and I think it's that angry side of me. I've spoken about this before, but this feeling of, you know, tit for tat. So many things happened that were really, really traumatizing for me externally from the relationship, and I'm still not over that. I still haven't been able to accept that, unfortunately. And even getting into psychology at uni, I got into psychology because I wanted to understand why people did what they did, and this goes for so many circumstances in my life. But I think while that anger is still so very much there, and I still sometimes, you know, think about doing a podcast, just doing this expose and sharing everything, it's not coming from a good place. It's not something that I want to be known for. So while I do believe that one day I will share what happened because it changed me so much as a person, I just don't think that I'm in the right place to share that information right now. However, like I did in my Europe packing video, we ended for external reasons. And then we ended every single time for that as well. But then the question that is very much interconnected to that is, how did you actually let go of someone you loved so deeply? And this is a really hard thing. I struggled for so long with my relationship because I loved my partner so deeply, and there was so much love there. We're really good friends at the end of the day, and we were so incredibly comfortable. I had the opportunity to, you know, get married soon and have kids and get a house and have this stability that I always fantasized about. I always dreamed about having what I had. It was just the finer details, and I think at the end of the day, although letting go of my relationship, or being let go of, was so incredibly hard, I knew that I would be miserable having to go through what I went through for the rest of my life, and having to deal with everything for the rest of my life. And this is a really hard thing, and I think that is why we got back together so many times, because the love was so very much there. And my ex-partner, he means so incredibly well. However, he just was not the person for me. He could not give me what I needed, and he couldn't support me in the way that I needed. So letting go of that while it was so hard was the greatest act of love for myself, because I knew that I deserved better for myself. And do not get me wrong, I still am getting over the breakup. I'm still struggling with moving on and coming to terms with the fact that we probably won't get back together again. And you know, I sit constantly and go, what if we did what if he did do this, and what if he did leave this, but that's not what's happening. That is not the reality, and I could hold on to that potential for so long and make myself so incredibly miserable. Or I could potentially one day meet someone who could give me everything I needed and did come from an environment that I felt safe in. I think feeling less alone and having people to share this with, and oh my gosh, having an incredible friendship group made my entire life. It made my breakup so much easier, and to be honest, I don't think I would have been able to leave or stay single. I think it's been almost 4 months since we last ended things, which is the longest period of time. But having women who showed me what love was like, regardless of the fact that it's purely platonic, I think having that, I don't ever want to settle for less, because I can just have that. I can have that from my friends who have given me a love that I have never experienced in my life. In terms of friendship, my parents are incredible. But in terms of that relationship that isn't blood, these connections with these women have helped me be able to break the cycle and kind of find my self-worth as well. Same person asked, what is love to you? And I think this is a very deep question, and although I would love to get into it, I think at the end of the day, love is a commitment. And sometimes love isn't enough, and I learned that in my past relationship, and my view on love has changed so much as I'm starting to mature and I'm starting to have more life experience. But love to me is a choice. Every single day you choose to love someone. Every single day when you're in a relationship you choose to stay with them and commit to them and be there through the ups and the downs and the highs and the lows. And while love is this beautiful thing, I think it's important to realize that love is also meant to be gentle and it's meant to be soft, and there's that passion there, but there needs to be this balance. I think we're moving on from love now, which is good. Because other than that, I have nothing to give to you. I'm chronically single. I'm actually really enjoying it. No, I'm kidding. It's actually been pretty good. The next question is, do you speak any other languages? Io parlo un po' di italiano e je parle un peu français, and that is all you're gonna get from me because I feel like I butchered that, but I do speak a little bit of Italian and French. Where are you going to travel? I have so many places I'm going to travel. I'm so excited. My whole life, my whole purpose to me is travel. I love it so much. Hence why I don't have a house yet and I still live at home with my parents. I just love to travel. It's one of the biggest things that I look forward to. I have some travel plans that I'll eventually share. I do really want to do Africa. I want to volunteer in Africa. My biggest one on my list is Jordan and Egypt. I love ancient history so much. I love it so much. And for me, I really want to go to Egypt. I think it's beautiful. I want to do Morocco, and a lot of the destinations that I'm mentioning I want to do with Intrepid or G Adventures. So if you're watching this and you work with Intrepid or G Adventures, message me. So many people message me and say, are you ever gonna go somewhere other than Europe? I have been to places other than Europe. I just seem to keep going back. But there are so many places that I haven't explored. But I'm a massive summer baby. I love summer, so going to places like Albania and exploring more of Greece and Montenegro and Malta. I want to do Majorca because I'm a basic. And I want to explore more of Italy and Croatia. There are so many places in Europe that I want to travel. And I think moving there, I'm potentially moving to Paris. That could be a great opportunity for me to see more of Europe and have it more accessible and be so convenient. I do want to go to Fiji and Vanuatu, Samoa. I want to go to Mauritius because my cousin's husband is from Mauritius and it looks beautiful and he shares so many nice stories about it. I want to do some of Southeast Asia like Vietnam and Thailand, Japan. Japan's a big one. I do want to go to America. I don't feel safe to go to America at the moment with everything going on. I think it's a scary time to go to America as a woman. But I do want to do South America, Mexico, Cuba, Brazil, definitely New York, Maldives. Wouldn't be opposed to going to Antarctica. Basically, I want to go anywhere. Anywhere that is accessible for me to go, any opportunity, I want to go. I just think it's so beautiful. I think as a photographer as well, I have that built-in desire to explore so many different places and capture them. Curly hair tips, please. Curly hair. I feel like this is a terrible example at the moment of my curly hair. My number one product I've got to recommend is the Wave Spray. I'm sorry, my hair isn't diffused. This is day 4. It still looks pretty good for day 4. I've barely been diffusing my hair, barely been using heat recently because I just chucked the Wave Spray in. Boom, curls. Defined curls. I don't even have to ring them. Defined curls. I think the curly girl hair method, I don't know how I feel about that. There's not a one size fits all. You've got to experiment. I did see someone ask, when did you start taking care of your curly hair? There are a few curly hair questions. I started doing that in 2022. I got a diffuser for Christmas. Very lucky, thank you mum. Started doing it then. My curls back then, I'm gonna put some images up. My curls back then were so different to what they are now. And my view on curly hair was so different to what they are now. I was someone who straightened my hair every single day in high school. My curls were actually really nice back then. They were more so waves. And my hair does sit in that in-between of curly and wavy, and I was trying so many different things, and it wasn't until probably about 2023 or more so this year that I started feeling a little bit more confident with how I was doing my hair. I developed more of a routine and I post about that a lot on Instagram. Bondi Boost have a curl range, Aveda have their Be Curly range. They are my favorite too. Bread also have really good curly products, and obviously this Wave Spray, love it. invest in a good diffuser. Dyson, I know it's expensive, it is so incredibly worth it if you want to embrace your curly hair, which I think is such a beautiful healing thing to do. I don't know if I was answering any of the questions there. What got you into photography and making videos, and tips? I've been doing photography for ages. I've always had a camera, but I got into photography and videography more professionally when I was about 12. I remember being in primary school and taking photos on my trips back down to Penrith, of all places, taking photos of those and making PowerPoints that I made everyone sit through and watch. I was always someone who documented my life and loved to share it. A massive oversharer, which you can probably tell by these videos. And my first camera that I ever bought myself was in Lyon, and I brought a beautiful Polaroid, this old vintage Polaroid, and I started shooting on that, and then I started shooting on my dad's camera, and eventually I got my own camera, and I kept upgrading from that. I was shooting my friends everywhere we went. Everything was a video. Even within the smallest moments, I was searching for beautiful angles. And although I think photography and videography has made me less of a present person, because I'm always searching for, oh my god, that angle looks beautiful, and oh, imagine this is a photo. And when I'm traveling, I've got 6 different cameras taking 10 million photos and videos on all these different formats, but you really just need to pick up a camera. I eventually, in 2018 or 2019, got into the Canon Red Straps program, and I became a youth ambassador for Australia. They kind of nurtured us as photographers. I got the Canon R, which is the most beautiful camera. For beginners, I would definitely recommend starting on a Canon R. I shoot on a Canon R5 now, which is a more professional camera for weddings, all that other work. But then yeah, I started shooting weddings when I was 15, and I've been shooting ever since. Someone did ask, have you been doing much photography lately? And my answer for that is yes and no. I probably shoot about 1 wedding a year because I don't advertise myself anymore. I am still open to shooting weddings and doing all that, but it's definitely not my focus. But I was starting to lose my passion for photography and videography, so I knew that it was time for me to take a step back and really nurture that. So I do shoot still, and when I travel, I'll take my camera if I have someone there that's going to carry it for me. I know that sounds very princessy, but the neck pain is so incredibly real. I do hope to get more into it one day. I don't know if I'm answering these questions properly because I get on a tangent. The next question is, what are you most proud of? I am most proud of myself, probably. I have had so much growth, and I've been able to be so resilient in the last few years, but I could have become such a different person from these things and these experiences. So I'm proud of myself for staying true to myself, and especially in the industry that I'm in, it is really, really hard to stay true to yourself. And although I'm definitely still a work in progress, I think I'm proud of myself for not abandoning who I am. How do you spend alone time and enjoy it? Fresh out of a relationship and plenty of time. I think when you get out of a relationship, you have so much time. So much time for your thoughts. I'm a thought daughter. I had an MRI the other day, and I wanted to be in there longer because it gave me so much uninterrupted time of me just sitting and going through everything in my head. I think alone time, you come to learn, is so beautiful and so precious. And for me, I'm super sensitive, so I need my alone time, otherwise I get super exhausted or burnt out. But even starting small, go to the coffee shop, and I know this isn't alone time because you're on your phone, but go to the coffee shop by yourself, sit on your phone. Start off with that, and then one day maybe go to the coffee shop and bring a book, and then you're not on your phone. Do slowly work in little increments, because I think a lot of people are like, alone time, okay, maybe solo traveling. When you're not used to that, it's really, really hard. It's going to be this big shock. Even if you prioritize 1 day a week of doing a date where you're by yourself, go to the movies by yourself. It's not embarrassing. No one's talking at the movies, or no one should be talking at the movies. So no one's going to care if you're by yourself. It doesn't make any difference. Go to a class, like go to an art class, pottery, or whatever you're into. Do things like group activities where you are taking yourself out, but you're not necessarily alone. Little things like that will start building your confidence, and eventually you'll be able to spend all this time by yourself and feel comfortable because you're doing it by yourself. I think especially in your early 20s, nurturing that relationship with yourself and your ability to sit in uncomfortable feelings or doing things that are uncomfortable, you're going to feel so accomplished by this. I'm someone who really does enjoy alone time, and last year solo traveling, I'll go down to the creek once a week and take myself there, or go on walks by myself. That's a good one. But start off small. That's what I'm gonna say. Even sitting in your room and watching a movie by yourself. You're going to be distracted, you're distracting yourself, but you're still having that alone time. And eventually, I promise this, you are going to be okay with being alone. It's going to be second nature for you. And I understand how when you just get out of a relationship, it's super daunting. And sometimes you feel as though you need to fill that space with someone else. At the end of the day, you're going to still feel so incredibly empty. So filling that space, see it as this beautiful opportunity to fill that space with hobbies and passion and things that fill your soul, and you won't look back. And for me, I've always been so incredibly scared of being single and being alone, and I realized as I was driving in the car today, I don't have this desire anymore to be in a relationship, although I would love it. I'm a hopeless romantic, don't get me wrong. I would love it, I'm not opposed to it. But I think at the start of my breakup and at the start of every single time we ended things, I constantly craved someone to fill that gap. And whether I pursued it or I chose not to, I was still alone at the end of the day, and becoming comfortable with that means that you're not going to settle as much. What would an ideal Sienna day look like? Getting on a flight, going to Europe, being in Europe, going to the beach, sitting and reading with my book, uninterrupted, eating a pizza. That is my ideal Sienna day. I think my ideal day that's a little bit more achievable is, you know, waking up, reading a little bit, spending some time with my family, and then doing something with the girls. What are your plans for next year? I don't know. I have so many different plans that do not align on the same path. Originally, I was going to go to uni, do semester 1 for psychology, defer semester 2, go to Europe, study Italian for a month in Firenze, travel with the girls for 2 months, come back home, do semester 3. However, I have had a little bit of a crisis. As soon as I got into uni, I was super excited, so excited. It's something that I want to do. I think being in a small town, it's really hard to grow. And the idea of being so committed to uni, I was starting to do part-time. That is 8 years. I would be done uni by 30. And although your life does extend beyond 30, hopefully, touch wood, by then I would really love to be married and have kids. And when you're married and you have kids, you don't have the opportunity to say, yeah, I do want to go to Africa with you and volunteer. Yeah, I do want to move to Paris, because it's going to look different. So I think I'm starting to realize that during this time in my life, this is when I want to explore. When I have a house and a mortgage and I have kids, I will somehow figure out how to go to uni. And I think uni, and more specifically psychology, is something that you probably need to do when you're a little bit older and you have a little bit more life experience. I was talking to my psychologist and she said to me, you know, I only hire people with life experience. And unless you can count, I've obviously been through a lot more than this, but unless you can count getting back with your ex like 8 times as life experience, I don't have much to contribute to that. I obviously do have other things that I've been through that can probably contribute to that, that makes me really, really mature. However, it's probably not the life experience that I need. I've always felt this massive pull to move to Paris. Even if it's for 6 months, I could move there for 6 months and go, actually, this isn't me and I don't really enjoy this. So I think I want to move to Paris. And if anyone has moved to Paris from Australia, bonus points if you have a dual citizenship, because I am Italian and I have my dual citizenship and passport, so I don't have to get a visa. But if anyone has any advice, or if anyone's looking for a roommate, or who's giving up their apartment that has really nice natural lighting, let me know. How did you find friends in your early 20s? I'm really struggling. I love this question! I found a video on my TikTok from this time 2 years ago. I was in a hotel in Surrey Hills and I was talking about how much I was struggling with finding friendships. I had just been through an experience that I could have gone without, and I just felt like I was this unlovable person and I wasn't cool enough or good enough for friends. I'm working on this in therapy at the moment, but I've found that I've always really gone for friends that can't give me exactly what I need. I think it constantly fed into this mindset that I have that I'm not good enough. So a lot of my friendships weren't these wholesome things and they weren't these beautiful connections. They were with people that probably didn't care if I was there or not. I was never really popular in school, and I think you always crave to be accepted and loved, and so I really struggled with friends and fitting in, and I always just felt like I was ahead of everyone because I've always been the mum of the group, and I've always just been a little bit more mature from my experiences that I've been in. So I struggled, and I never really had this female friendship group that I craved so much. And then my relationship ended, and my friendships there were not ones that were filling my cup. And in my mind, the tree falls where the tree leans, and I didn't want to be falling that way. And so then came Geordie. I've been friends with Geordie since I was in year 8 or in year 9. I think I'll have to get Geordie to confirm this, and I think you guys will definitely see a lot more of Geordie, and you've seen her in my videos if you watch my monthly videos. But Geordie was a year older than me in high school, and we shot weddings together. We've been friends for a very long time, and my relationship ended just before Splendor. And I didn't have anyone to go with. I had planned to go with my ex-boyfriend and his friends and family. So I messaged Geordie and I said, "Are you going to Splendor?" And she said, "Yes, I am. I'm going with the girls." And I said, "Would I be able to come with you?" And I remember going and sitting down with them at Prees before we all went on the bus to go. And I was so nervous. I was really, really anxious because the female group environments that I was in before, I was always being judged. I never felt wanted, and I just felt really uncomfortable. They just weren't my people, and they weren't my biggest fans and supporters. So I sat there in silence. I felt so awkward, and they were so welcoming. Do not get me wrong, they were so incredibly welcoming, and they were all buzzing around and talking to each other and laughing. And I felt like a fish out of water. It felt so uncomfortable for me because I had never experienced that. And in my mind after, I was like, they're definitely talking about how quiet I am, or you know, how I'm really weird, or I don't fit in, or why I'm here. And it was the best weekend of my life. It was so good. I'm gonna cry. I had so much fun. They were so incredibly welcoming to me. We spent the weekend laughing, and even when I would go out on my own or I would leave because I spent so much time in my old friendship groups being independent because I just wasn't really wanted there. And they would message me and ask me where I was and if they wanted someone to come find me, and they were concerned about my well-being. I know that's the bare minimum, but it was such a beautiful thing, and I've been friends with them ever since. I went to Europe after, came home. The girls have been so incredibly supportive, and they have loved me at my absolute lowest. And to love someone when they have not much to give but this shell of themselves, and to still love them and to nurture them, oh, it's such a beautiful thing, and I'm so incredibly privileged. But I begged for so long, and I'm not a religious person, but in a sense I prayed for so long for this connection that I have now. Me from 2 years ago would be in shock. She would not believe that I have these relationships with these beautiful, incredible women. So I think, to answer your question, putting yourself out there, you deserve the most incredible friendships, and to settle for less, and to settle for people who say that I'm just not that type of friend that's going to comfort you or reassure you. No, you deserve more than that. You deserve someone that loves you entirely and wants to share their life with you and gives without expectation. And I think to settle from that is closing off any other avenues of you finding someone else and finding these friendship groups. TikTok has become a great way to find friends and finding people that are like-minded with you. You are the company you keep, and I want to enforce that. If you are with friendships that a little bit negative, put yourself out there, join groups, go to pottery, meet some friends. Even in uni, I feel as though you can find people that are like-minded. Traveling, staying at a hostel, there are so many avenues for you to meet friends. I would go through 100 breakups again with a man that I thought was my soulmate if it meant that I could find a friendship like these. I had to change my battery because I've been yapping for way too long. There's only a couple of questions left. And on the topic of friendship, the next question is, how do you know when it's time to let go of a friendship? I love this question because as we get older, as we grow up, we change. And when you're changing so often, some friendships just aren't going to align with you. It's different if someone's done something that's not been very nice. I think friendship, gone. If it's a friend that you, I don't know, have a weird gut feeling with, you're going, I don't know whether I want to hang out with this person. I've had this before. I think the biggest thing to keep in mind is you are the company that you keep. Would you be proud if someone said that you were that person? Would you be proud if you were that person? And if the answer is no, then maybe you need to reassess. Not every single one of your friendships needs to be your best friend in the entire world. I think there are different types of friendships. There's low maintenance friendships, there's these beautiful best friendships, you've got your close circle, and you have those outer people, and that's not necessarily a bad thing because we all have them. But I think if you are friends with someone who loves drama, loves to gossip, is really negative, or doesn't really support you and congratulate you on your wins, I think it's time to reassess whether that person is good for you. And not all friendship breakups have to be this bad thing. It doesn't always have to be dramatic. Sometimes things can just fizzle out. Not all friendships are gonna last, just like not all relationships are gonna last. Everything teaches you some kind of lesson, and it's better off saying, you know, we just stopped hanging out, than keeping yourself in a friendship that doesn't really serve you or doesn't allow you to grow or be happy or be the best version of yourself. What is your favorite place you've traveled to and why? Zakynthos. I loved Zakynthos. Probably because there is not as much trauma attached. But Zakynthos was beautiful. It was just insane. Joy and I were there the entire time in awe. The beaches were incredible. The food was good. The beaches were incredible. I need to reiterate that. I've never seen something so beautiful. I titled my YouTube video, "The Most Beautiful Place on Earth." I'm sorry, I'm gonna stand by that until someone proves me wrong. I love Italy. Love it so much. I feel like because I'm Italian, I have to love Italy, but it is so incredibly beautiful. The food is always so incredible. But I think Zakynthos just takes the cake for me. I want everyone to make it their number one on their travel list. How do you deal with mean girls in the influencer industry? I've dealt with this more than I would like to. And once again, I don't really want to be known for drama. I want people to know me and go, oh, she's a really nice person, not, oh, she had this drama with this person, that person. So I'm not going to name and shame today, and I'm not going to get into anything. But I think just staying true to myself. I have the best girl group ever in the industry. I think this year I've nurtured so many incredible friendships, which was my goal of the year. Eloise, Ella Squire, El Ray, my beautiful manager Kira, and so many more. I think you can tell who are nice influencers and who aren't. I personally couldn't. It wasn't until I had certain experiences and then my friends going, everyone else could tell that that person was not a nice person. But I think I try and see the best in people, so that's why I can get myself in these situations of experiencing mean girls. But be kind. Be kind. Stay out of drama. I think that's the biggest thing. But even my friendships with Joy and Lola, they're in the industry and they are the most down-to-earth, creative, kind people ever. And they're normal. And when I say normal, I mean just relatable. They're not pretentious or stuck up. And I think when you start hanging out with people who think that they deserve everything, that's when it's time to maybe reassess and back away from those girls in the industry. But I see so many people get into drama on podcasts or on TikTok and mean little snarky comments, and it's just trashy. They're gonna get their karma one day. It's definitely invalidating when I see girls who like post about how they love this certain influencer when she's a really mean person if you get on a wrong side. But at the end of the day, people are gonna realize, and I don't have to live with myself being a mean person. They do. And that's what I have to remind myself. And also therapy. a lot of therapy helps with that. But the influencer industry definitely reignited my childhood trauma of feeling good enough in friendships and not fitting in and not being cool enough and not being anyone's first choice. So we're working on it. It's a work in progress, but it's cool to be kind. Finally! How do you deal with acne and trying to be confident? I thought I would save this to last because a lot of people like my acne stuff. This is my skin at the moment. We're getting up close and personal. Look at how much my scarring has gone. I've been getting a lot of pimples up here, some down here. This is my new freshie. I think I'm just finishing ovulating, so I'm in my luteal. And he paid a visit, and so did my fingers when I was popping it out. Very naughty. Acne I struggled with for so long. The thing that made me the most confident with acne is posting about it on social media. weird, I know, but I think I felt less alone. So many girls came out and said, I experienced this too. I experienced acne in my 20s as well. To have so many people say that they felt so connected to my post or felt so seen and validated was such a beautiful thing, and I think that's why I love my job. I have that opportunity and that platform to bring some kind of confidence to people, because acne is not ugly, it's not unattractive. I think a lot of people, because you see so many filters on social media, and I make a point to not use filters unless it's like a funny one, then I'll use a filter. And even the beauty filter, I feel like using that sets this standard that you have clear skin, and if you don't have clear skin, it's not normal. And all of the influencers, not all of them, but you know, all these influencers have clear skin and you don't have clear skin, and you're the only one. It's really isolating. So I challenged myself at the start. When I first started getting breakouts and acne, I would always wear makeup, I would always cover it up. Recently, not so much. Little doses of going out in public, going to the grocery shops, going to a cafe, posting a story with no makeup on. Little things like that slowly started making me feel confident, because funnily enough, unlike what my anxiety was telling me would happen, no one sat there pointing going, you have acne, oh my god, look at that ugly little breakout on your chin. No one said that. And I think in my head I was so convinced that everyone would be staring at me, looking at me, and no one was. No one cares if you're breaking out. And I understand the anxiety, because I still get it. Like if I'm breaking out, I'm going, oh, why? I thought you were gone. And I could get into this in a freaking 30-minute video. But knowing that I was beautiful with a breakout and not with a breakout, I was beautiful with my scarring and not with my scarring. Someone called my scarring one day strawberry freckles, and I thought it was so incredibly beautiful. I think we're done. I will need to cut out some questions because this is going to be a very, very long video. I'm so glad we finally sat down, and I'm so excited for the year ahead. I'm so excited to share my life on YouTube and document it more. And if you're still here, I love you. Thank you for still being here. I hope to catch up more. But thank you for sitting down with me. Thank you for spending this time with me. And I will see you in my next video, and hopefully a travel one soon after that. Bye!